Dark Souls 2 is the most intimidating game I have ever played. This won't be a surprise to fans of previous games from developer From Software, but it's not just the difficulty that I found so overwhelming. Dark Souls 2 is massive. It has a much bigger world, far more bosses, all the stuff you'd expect from a sequel. But those additions aren't just back-of-the-box bullet points for this game. They're a threat. It chewed me up and spit me out over and over again, and I loved every second of it. In Dark Souls 2, you play the role of a cursed character, searching for a cure to stop yourself from becoming undead. The game takes place in a fallen kingdom called Drangleic that surpasses the first game's world in every way. Areas are larger and more varied than the first game, ranging from massive castles to scenic forests and everything in between. But each zone also does a better job of telling its own story, often without the need for cutscenes or even other characters. You're expected to piece together the story on your own, but that made it very engrossing for me as I explored. Dark Souls 2 also has high expectations for how players approach combat. Forget to raise your shield or dodge at the wrong time, and you're going to take a lot of damage, or sometimes even die altogether. It sounds frustrating, but that intense level of challenge is exactly what makes the game so appealing. I wasn't pushed forward because I wanted another cutscene or a new upgrade. I wanted to figure out how to survive a zone full of death traps or a painful new boss. Piecing that together was its own reward. I wouldn't say that Dark Souls 2 is easier on the whole, but it is more approachable. The game begins with a much more effective tutorial zone that's also totally optional for those who have already played the game. It's also much more straightforward in explaining how its systems work. Most items are easy to understand, and even as the game expands, the way forward is usually clearer than it was in the first game. Plus, you can fast travel between locations from the start. Those who have been scared off by previous Souls games will find a gentler introduction here, but it doesn't compromise the difficulty or mystery that hardcore fans love. Dark Souls 2 really is the best possible iteration of a type of game From Software has been working on for years. Each tweak to the formula is smart and well thought out, improving the shape of the game without losing its identity. And there's so damn much game here, without any of it feeling like filler. New players will have an easier time understanding what makes Dark Souls 2 tick, while longtime fans are going to find a giant, complex new world to pick apart. It's the best of all worlds, and as much as it destroyed me, I can't wait to jump back in.